Hello, dear viewers. I'm gonna share with you a training experience that I had. So, as I told you, the last 6 months I haven't been training almost at all. But the previous week I did one training session, and the way I conducted it was I took a game that I have seen it, but a long time ago, so I basically don't remember anything. And I was trying to understand this game by analyzing it. So I went through this game 2 times. The first time was trying to guess the moves and understand the ideas, and the second time I read the comments about the game from one of the players. It was a game between Duras and Alekhine from 1914 in Mannheim. So more than 100 years ago it was played. And let me tell you, I was really confused by most of the moves played by Alekhine, at least in the early stage of the game, in the opening and in the middle game. As you can see on the graphic, I have guessed only 20 out of the 41 moves where I tried. The game lasted 60 moves, but first 5 moves I wasn't guessing, and first 4 moves actually. And then at the end, there was no point in guessing because there were multiple ways to win. So first, I'm going to show you how the moves I guessed and where I was wrong or right, and my thoughts on it. And then later, in the second part of the video, I'll show you uh, how I learned a little bit from the comments made by Alekhine. So Duras was white, Alekhine was black. Usually when I do this, I don't guess every move because here there are many options, so no point in guessing what will black play. So Alekhine was black. I'm trying to guess the black move from the position which I consider new for me. So a6, bishop takes, and b takes. So this is sort of new position for me. Of course, I know there is this move, but basically I don't know any theory here. So here I considered um, interesting to try and guess the moves. d4 was played, and my first guess was correct to take that pawn. And after queen d4, I already started to think what to play, and the move I tried was d6, but actually Alekhine played here queen f6, and when I saw that he played this, I sort of understood the idea. So he wants to exchange queens. That's my guess. But I was worried about e5, and actually that move would be unpleasant. But Duras didn't play it, he just castled. And now the next move was sort of easy, since my guess was that Alekhine wanted to exchange queens, so he actually did. And after knight d4, another situation came where you have to come up with the move. So what I noticed is that I just want to play d6 and develop this bishop, but this pawn is hanging. So my idea was knight e7 to protect the pawn so that we can play d6 and then develop the bishop and then figure out what to do with this guy. But no, Alekhine had something else in mind. He played rook b8. And I was like, why this move? And the only thing I came up with was to prevent this bishop from developing for a while, because he's putting pressure here. Because, if white goes to f4, it can be unpleasant to defend this d6 pawn, because every time you push here, it is hanging. So this is why I wanted actually to go knight e7 also, because now on bishop f4, the c6 pawn is protected, otherwise we just lose the pawn. But actually, with rook b8, Alekhine had another idea, which I will reveal in the second part of the video. So white played knight b3, and here comes the next moment. Now I thought, okay, he didn't want to go to e7 to protect this pawn. Now this pawn is not even hanging. There is no need for these abstract maneuvers. Let's just play d6 while we can, and then develop the bishop. But no, now when the pawn is not attacked, Alekhine played knight e7, and I was like, what? Why? How? What is happening? But okay, uh, later will say more about this. So bishop d2 was played by white. And now I thought, look, I really want to play d6. And now is the time. So I wrote d6 on my paper. But actually, Alekhine played knight g6. And I was like, what's the guy doing? I don't understand. Okay, I know he wants to develop the bishop, and since he chose this route, but at the time, it was very, very hard to figure out. And now I know, but I will tell you that later. I'm not going to keep repeating that. I will tell you later. But it's just so confusing. Like, what is the guy doing? Yeah, I don't know if you understand these moves when you see them for the first time. But for me, these were shockers, all of them. All right. So white played bishop c3, and I thought, okay, I want to develop my bishop, but this pawn is hanging. So let me play f6 so that on the next move I can go somewhere. I don't know, probably to e7. But Alekhine didn't play f6. When I saw the next move, I was even more confused. I was like, again, what's the guy doing? Okay, I see. He wants to give a check and to attack the bishop, but actually he has something in mind. So white defended against the check, and I was like, all right, I can't develop this guy. Let me at least stop e5, because when that move comes, it's gonna restrict black's pieces. It's always gonna be hard to push any of these pawns, and if you can't move the d pawn, then you have a problem with this bishop. So my suggestion was again d6, and okay, if white pushes, we can pass through and then come with the knight here, controlling these dark squares and slowly advance the pawns. I don't know. That's what I thought. But no, Alekhine played bishop in7. Of course, the point is, this is what I missed. If white takes, then uh, we get counterplay here. So after bishop e7, white played knight 1 to d2, and here I thought, all right, I'm sure he castled here because it's completely logical, you know. And actually, this was after a series of moves where I couldn't guess. This was the one where our thoughts agreed. So what did white play next? Knight c4, and here I thought, all right, once white, as I said before, if white pushes e5, it's very hard to advance. It's just not easy. So I thought, all right, let's play d6 and preempt that push. But no, no, Alekhine wouldn't do that. He just played casually rook e8. And I was, again, this was in this game after every move, almost after every move, I was like, whoa, what is happening here? I just couldn't understand the moves. Now came knight c to a5. And I was thinking, all right, now I cannot even play d6 because this pawn is attacked. So let's just move this pawn one step forward so the pawn is not there, and then maybe later we will have this option. But actually this idea was not so good because the d5 square becomes slightly weak, and also we cannot push d6 even in this position because there is always knight c6, very unpleasant move. But he didn't play c5, he played bishop f8. Okay, it makes sense, um, but yeah, I I was still confused. So rook ad1 was played, and now I thought, all right, we must stop e5. We don't want to let that happen. So we cannot go d6 because this guy is hanging. So let's go f6. But no, the guy just played c5, and I'm like, wait, man. On the previous move, he didn't want to play c5. White improved his position, and now he played c5. I didn't understand any of this stuff. So I still don't most of it, but I do some. And of course, white finally played e5. And now I was trying to prevent this move for the last 10 moves. Alekhine ignored it, and somehow black is in trouble. And in this position, I felt demoralized. So I was like, all right, I don't even know what he's going to play. Let's just activate the rook. So here I lost all faith in guessing any of his moves. But actually, he didn't play that. He played knight e6. Now I'm all right. The guy just weakened the d5 square by pushing the pawn, and there was a knight controlling there. But now he retreated and he abandoned that square. So I said, all right, I'll have to read his comments after the game and try to figure it out. So Duras played knight c4, and here this was this stage where I was demoralized still. So I just put any move. I don't know. I put rook b5 just to protect this. But it's a silly move here. I wasn't really thinking clearly. But when I saw what Alekan played, the shock continued. Like, how can I guess this move? What is it doing? How is it in any way relevant? But actually, this move has a very deep idea. When you read Alekhine's notes in his book, it's amazing. And when I first saw this, I was like, "What are we playing the same game? Like, what is this?" And yeah, so White played h4, and the next move I guessed, but yeah, so Bishop e7, and after g3, I was like, "All right, White wants to push Black off the board with his pawns. So the only way to stop it is g5. But once we play g5, we leave terrible holes here. So they could be easily exploited with something like this. And also the rook can come on the h file. This looked dreadful. So I thought, all right, let's play knight f8. We cannot push the g pawn. But no, Alekhine just pushed g5. And I was like, how is he gonna not lose this, not to mention to win the game? And of course, this is one of the few positions where I asked the engine, and Black is just in a bad position. G5 is a bad move, and knight f8 is a bad move too. So my idea is not an improvement, but yeah. Anyways, Alec Duras took on g5, and here it was easy to guess because we must take with the pawn to stop f4. And knight a5 came, and here I thought, all right, now is the time to strike. Let's try knight d4, sacrificing a pawn. If white takes it, we have bishop b4, double attack. If the rook is defended, we take, and take. So we regain the pawn, and suddenly we are in a great position. But probably what I had missed, that white can actually move his, not c3, but move his rook here, defend the pawn. And then if I do the same thing, I cannot take, it's guarded. I'm not sure. Anyways, he shocked me with king h7. And I'm like, what is the guy doing? Again, for the 15th time in this game. I cannot guess any of his moves. King g2, and suddenly it looked dangerous. The rook is coming to the h rank. So, okay, king g6, that's the move I guessed, because you need to get away from that file and also control this square in case of knight e3. Rook h1, and now I thought, all right, let's play bishop f8, because white threatens to double up on the h file and starts destroying us. So this way we control the h6 square, and also maybe we can get in time to exchange one rook. But no, Alekhine played knight d4, and I thought when he didn't play it on the previous move, when this rook was back here, I thought probably the idea is completely wrong. But actually, the rook being on h1 makes all the difference, and as you will see. So white took the pawn, and actually here with this pawn sacrifice, black started to get the initiative. And this is the part where I started to guess correctly black's moves. And why is that? Because the game became forcing. And in forcing play, it's much easier to find the correct move. It's not 100% forcing, but it's sort of forcing. In the previous part, it was more of a maneuvering game when you had several options everywhere. So sometimes there were alternatives to good moves. and it was not that easy. And also, I didn't understand that position. This position, I sort of know what to do. So from here on, I guessed most of Black's moves until the end, as you will see. So we sacrifice the pawn. We must do something active. And here, as I said, it was not too hard. Bishop b4, my old idea, works here because we want to exchange and then capture here. That's why white played knight b3, protecting the b2 pawn, blocking the rook. And here comes a very important part. This was the best move of the game. And if you want, you can pause the video and do it as a puzzle. For me, it was not hard to find this move. And here is why. Because this is a signature Alekhine move. There is a certain technique that Alekhine used in his games, and this technique is not covered in any of the books that I have ever seen. But this is something I discovered by looking at a few dozens of his games. And when I look at Alekhine's games, I'm just looking for this technique to be executed. And of course, once I saw this position, this was basically the first move that came to mind. So I don't know, try and see if you can solve it. All right, so the move is d5. I'm not going to explain the technique that I discovered and how I came with this move. This is topic for another video. It's a very long topic, but basically, in short, he wants to put this rook here, and this pawn is an obstacle. So he just wants to remove that pawn. That's the short version. The long version is very long. So, and what is the justification? After d5, if rook takes, we have bishop b7, winning the exchange because of the pin. And if on pawn, again, now we got what we wanted. The line opened up. So first we give check, attacking the rook. So f3 is forced, and now we come in, and then we have a checkmating attack. This is very hard to stop. The only way to stop it is to lose some material. So that's the concrete justification. In the game, white played knight e3. And here I messed up. I rushed. I wanted to take the pawn, thinking that white cannot take here. But actually he can with the knight and then block with c4. So that was my miscalculation. So the correct move is the one played by Alekhine, c5. And now comes a series of moves where it was very easy to guess all the moves. I'm just going to show them, because all of them are sort of forcing. Actually, here I'm going to stop, and let's make this a new puzzle. Try to find the best move for black. All right, I hope you tried and did it successfully, as I did. Finally, a part of the game where I can find the good moves. So bishop a3 is the correct move. Again, here we are not going to go into too much detail, because the first part was the confusing part, is where the secrets are. So after knight a5, I took, and Alekhine did so too. And here comes an interesting moment. So I thought rook b2 is what must be played, and Alekhine played rook e3. But actually, if you ask the computer, rook b2 is the best move. So I was proud at this moment, because I outcalculated the great Alekhine. Alright, for me it was easy. There was no opponent, no clock ticking. I was sitting alone in my room. Anyway, he played not the best move, but still it's a good move. F3, and here the next 7-8 moves, I guessed them all. I would play the same. It's interesting, because here it's a it's a complicated tactical endgame where you have to calculate, and it's not too hard to calculate. This move I was proud also of finding, and Alekhine played it, because we have to create something, and this move creates some mating net around the king. And there are many variations and reasons, but this is not the topic of the video, so I'm just gonna rush forward. Fg4, excellent. You see, there are no alternatives. I played, and now it was the hard part. Here you had to find this move, because this is the way to keep the advantage. And after king d3, bishop b2, the only move, if I remember correct. Let me ask the engine. Yeah, the only move to keep a slight advantage. But still, I thought it was winning. But okay. d6, bishop f6. See, me and Alekhine, we play the same once we get to a certain type of position. Now, you remember I told you there was a move that I found because I know one of Alekhine techniques. He has several techniques, and this is the move that was found by me because I know another of his techniques, and more on that in another video. But anyways, here I made a calculation mistake on this move. I would have lost all the advantage because I thought bishop d8 was the move, but that was not the move. Rook b8 was the correct move. It keeps the winning advantage. And after rook d1, I made another mistake. So you see, even, yeah, not perfect, but still I'm happy. I guessed most of the moves in this part of the game. So here g2 was correct. Yeah, and now black is completely winning. I missed the point to tell you where white went wrong, but that's not the topic of the video. Here we want to learn from moves played by Alekhine. Okay, king e2 was played, and after rook b2 check, king f3. I think here already many moves win. So I wanted to play king f5, which I think is a fine move, but Alekhine chose rook d2. I was wondering between these two moves. They all both looked good. I'm not sure. Let me check just quickly if king f5 is also winning. I think it is. King f5. Yeah, it is also keeping the big winning. Or maybe not. Now just black is better. No, no, no. Winning, winning. Yeah, so here it doesn't matter so much. But of course, rook d2 is the flashy move, and Alekhine goes for a flashy, so maybe I should have tried that. And here our thoughts agreed, and here I wanted to play bishop c3, which is much better than what he did. He went rook d3. And the game lasted for 15 more moves, and somewhere around here I stopped guessing the moves because I saw that you can win by this move, by that move. You can play like in each position. After each move, you have 5 winning moves, so no point in guessing the moves here. I mean, you can do it as an exercise, but no point in comparing your moves with the world champion. All right, so let's see again the first part of the game with some insights from the fourth world champion himself. All right, so let's go back to the beginning. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop b5, a6. So this time I was going through the same game and at the same time reading the book by Alekhine, his best games. So I wanted to see what happened, how did he come up with his moves, and maybe gain some insight. Okay, so here he says, black's position is cramped, so I want to exchange queens in order to suffer less from lack of space. And of course, he says, as I guessed, that e5 is the critical move, where white denies black this option. After queen g6, white can just castle. This pawn is maybe poisonous because this is a huge advantage in development. So yeah, here Duras played a little bit timid. He should have played e5. But okay, he played, what did he play? Instead of e5, he went for castles. Now black here has easier time. And now, you remember I told you, why rook b8? Like, what's the idea? To tie up this bishop? Actually, Alekhine says in his comment, yes, he wants to tie the bishop, and he is also setting a trap. If white plays b3, trying to develop this bishop to this beautiful diagonal, then he will execute the idea from his game against Levenfish from 8 years prior. Amazing stuff. And I know this game. So then it became obvious why rook b8 is such a sneaky move. Let me show you. So let's go back. So let's go back to the beginning. And this is the worst part. I know this game. Of course, I don't know it by heart, but I know this idea and I completely forgot about it. But now, seeing these two games, it made it reinforce this knowledge. So let's see. This was the game against Levenfish. In this game, Alekhine took with his d pawn, and they followed the game Lasker Tarash from the World Championship match from a few years before that, and Lasker played b3 against Tarash in this position, or against Marshall, something like that. And then Alekhine did this beautiful thing: c5, knight e2, c4, sacrificing a pawn, and after bc4, bishop a4, he gained a huge initiative and eventually won the game. So let's go back to the game Duras Alekhine. So here he set a trap, as I told you. After b3, c5, same thing. He got rid of his doubled pawn because white can never take. It's just gonna be the worst version of the 11 fish Alekhine game, and this is my weakness. So I know this other game, the one that I just showed you. I mean, I don't know it by heart, but I have seen it. I have seen it 1 year ago, and of course I didn't memorize it, but I've seen this idea. And when I watched this other game, I didn't connect these two things. But as soon as Alekhine says, if white plays b3, the things will happen as they did in the Alekhine in my game against Levenfish. I immediately understood it, but the problem is understanding it before Alekhine says it. Yeah, that was a little bit hard for me. So okay, rook b8, knight b3, and now he played knight e7. I didn't understand that move, but actually what he says is he doesn't like f6 because e5 will always come with the tempo. So that's the basis of this move. After bishop d2, he goes for knight g6 because this bishop will come here and pressure the pawn. So he wants to transfer the knight to e6 and to protect the g7 pawn so that he can develop this bishop probably to e7. So that's the basis. So now it's also clear, but it was so confusing the first time I looked at it all just by myself with my own thoughts. All right, bishop c3 was played, and of course he's following his plan. He wants to go here to protect the guy and develop the bishop. Rook e1, yeah, stopping this check, and bishop e7. Yeah, here I missed that rook can always attack g2. And after knight d2, castles, knight c4, rook e8. I don't remember if he said anything about this move, but now I see. I see what he wants. He wants to pressure here, although he shouldn't allow. I think he made a mistake. He should have blocked that pawn either with d6 or with f6 because f6 is not dangerous. There is no light square bishop. After this move, bishop fa, rook a d1. And here he didn't explain c5. I guess he's just preparing. He's preparing this knight jump at one point. I'm not sure. He didn't explain everything, and I also don't understand everything in this game. But what I understood, and he confirmed, is that he made a mistake by allowing e5 because this pawn is like a bone in a throat. You know, you can never move. It's always some problem, and yeah. But now comes the interesting part. Okay, so now I understand 96. So he wants actually no, sorry. Here, yeah, he's just preparing knight d4 at an opportune moment. And then after knight c4, remember I told you h6 was like, what is this? But actually, he wants to prepare g5 because what's the difference? If he starts with g5, stopping f4 later, then he doesn't have this route for the king, so the knight can actually use the f5 square. But the way he did it was very, I mean, not very smart. It was genius. So h6 is genius move, and now because he wants to have this route for the king, and yeah, So look at this. H4, bishop e7, attacks the pawn, wins the tempo, g3, g5. You must stop f4. If you don't do that, it's not good. Of course, this is still a bad position, but he outplayed Duras here. And now king h7. Yeah, I don't know why. So now it turns out that he could have gone this way, maybe. Oh yeah, then maybe knight d6. No, it doesn't work. You see, I'm not sure. I haven't completely deciphered this game, but I learned a few things. After king h7, king g2, king g6. Now this idea is no longer in the air. That's great. And here comes the interesting part. This is the part where actually it was a little bit easier for me. So now starts the forcing play, as I said, and actually here we are not going to look through the rest of the game because I have already explained that a little bit. Let's just go back a few moves. I wonder why king h7, why? Oh, yes. So if you try king g7, then f4, and it looks like that pawn is hanging, but this is a check, yeah, and then we just lose a piece. So you see, I told you it was necessary to have exactly this square, and that's why h6 is such a genius move to have this route. So this is Alekhine for you. I learned a lot from this game. I'm still confused by some of the moves because, you know, they're above my level. Or maybe I could figure them out after watching the game for many times. But anyways, you see what you can learn from this. The first time I tried to guess the moves, I was so confused. Once I saw the moves that Alekhine played, it painted a little picture. But then, once I read his commentary, the words that he wrote about some of the moves, the picture became clearer. And because I have seen a few more of his games, I know some of his stuff. So that's why it was easier for me to find the moves like, where was the move d5 when he played? Like here, like this was not, yeah, bishop b4 here, like d5, that was a typical Alekhine move. And then later on, here, bishop a3, 2, and so on. The g3 move deep in the end game. It took me maybe 1 hour and a half for all of this. I'm not sure. And this is how you can improve a lot. Actually, I believe that this training was very good for me. I wish I could do it more often. I did this 1 time in 6 months. Imagine if I could do it 2 times a week. Oh, I would be a FIDE master already, I'm sure. All right, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.